Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mindshifters Radio. Today's Tuesday, October the 28th, 2025. And Mike will be with us here in just a moment. We're glad that you've joined us and hope that your day is blessed and going well. It's good to see you. Welcome, Susan. Welcome, Andrea. I look at your name, Angelic, and I always start to say that instead of Andrea, but both of them are beautiful. And we have someone else coming in with us, and there's Michael. So I'm going to say welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. Honored and delighted that you're here. Honey, I think I hit the wrong button and ended you as a co-host. So I don't know if you can repair that, but I accidentally hit the incorrect button.
No, it doesn't look like it's going to allow me, but that's okay. Oh, yeah, reclaim host.
There you go.
I've got it.
All right. Well, welcome, everybody.
Michael, you just went mute.
There we go. Is that better?
It is.
Okay, cool. So a fun takeoff from Friday's show yesterday. Appreciated the questions and the processing that we got to do with Andrea. That was an awesome piece of work you did on Friday, and then hopefully we can help keep clearing the water. Terry, let's see, no, you weren't there on Sunday, I don't think, for the codependence facilitated codependence session. And Terry brought up an example that I used to use. I think it was Sunday. In an event, in an intensive, I would take a large clear glass bottle of water and fill it, and then I'd start putting colors in it, and I'd use it as, it's kind of an example of the mind. I'd look through the bottle and I'd say, now I can see you all, and you all look, and I'd describe everybody, and you can see me, right? And then I add a little bit of watercolor, a little bit of green, a little bit of red, a little bit of black, a little bit of brown, and all of a sudden, the water turns kind of purple, and I look at it and I say, I can see you guys out there, but you're all looking pretty purple right now. What's wrong with you? What's the problem? And of course, put enough coloring in it so that it's totally opaque and can't see anything through it. And where is the solution? Just keep pouring clean water. And so I'd have a large bowl beneath it, and I'd start pouring water into that vase or what have you. And as you keep pouring in truth, as you keep pouring in the clean water, of course, it displaces the opaque water and it starts to clear up and comes back to clear. And that's the process that is required. You go back to Yeshua 2,000 years ago, and he says, you can't storm the gates. You can be there as much as you want, but you can't storm them. You can't force yourself in there prematurely. And if we're carrying around an unconscious mind, which in the ancient scriptures was referred to as the desert, if we're carrying that around and nobody's looked into it or cleaned out the gunk in 100 generations, if we can't fathom people in our bloodline, and I know for me, I can't think back of where anybody in my bloodline, if I look at aunts, uncles, cousins, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, what I knew of them, there was nobody that had a clue about what to do with how to reclaim our lives as human beings, as love, and how to clean out the rage and the guilt and the grief and the fear and the trauma. And of course, they're proving in the lab today that these energetic patterns are carried on from generation to generation, as in the physics language Aramaic they predicted 2,000 years ago when they said the sins of the fathers. We live in this energy system, and everything we engage in is there. And if you want to live in what they called a heavenly estate, and in Aramaic, the words kingdom of heaven were totally mistranslated or misinterpreted by the Greeks to be something about some place off in the sky. But those words reflect in Aramaic as a community of love. And anybody who's held a newborn will confirm that, yes, the newborn child is love. And then that vessel comes in and we start putting our colors in. The hostilities, the fears, the guilts, the griefs, the blame, the drama, and the trauma. And, there's a song out there, pretty popular melody, how long has this been going on? And as far as we can tell, if we look historically, it's been since pretty much the beginning. And so the objective is to have the tools with which to pour in the clean water, with which to displace the opaque water, the thing that's been colored with hostility and fear, and be restored. So nice piece of work, Angela. Andrea, pardon me. I'm looking at your name on your uh, name tag in the section. But anyway, delighted you're here. Any other
Thank you.
thoughts for you? Did anything else roll over in your dreams last night or in the session after the session yesterday?
I had a really great evening actually working on the power person dynamic worksheets, and still
Sweet.
kind of putting everything together, but just like trusting the flow. And it's really neat because when I get into writing, I can really witness the veil that's still there. And you've helped me when you talk about you can't storm the gates, because that driving that I've had with myself has been even a part of that block and veil. Like I had this meditation this morning where I was back at being a child, and how you know these things, you have no language for it, you have nobody around you, or I didn't have anybody around me to guide me or
Which
help
we're
me.
designed to have.
I believe that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've relied so heavily on my own guidance system that has been very audible through my life, which I'm so grateful for. And I thought that was the only way to find your own truth, but through others, it gets mirrored one way or another, or spoken. So, yeah, just in this experience this morning, putting these things together that you're sharing with me, so that I'm able to go a little bit deeper, because these gold nuggets of guidance, like I can even feel my higher identity speaking through you. But from this space of like, I'm ready now. I wasn't ready then. Like you say, you can't just say, okay, I know what I know. I have no words for it. I'm going to skip everything else. And I know my divinity, so I'm just going to be it. Like I couldn't understand for so long why I couldn't just be it.
Yeah, there's this pesky thing called perception and carbon-based memory.
Very pesky.
I don't know if you've watched the lesson in do. There's a 30-minute version of it from A Course in Miracles called "What Is the World?" I think it's one of the most important and one of the most misunderstood lessons in the course. And in one simple sentence, it tells you what the world is that the course is aiming forgiveness at. And most people are trying to aim forgiveness at them out there, or whatever, whoever they are. And the course, right out of the box, and I've had many people who've worked with the course who sit when in the class when I do that lesson, and it's like they're so ensconced in no, we made it's out there and we made it, and da, 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 da. And the course is just so simple in that lesson. The world is false perception. The only place the course offers or aims for forgiveness to be used is at the world of false perception. Where is it? It has not left its source. It's between our ears. And it will remain no longer than the thought, the mind energy beneath it that gave it birth is cherished. And that's like just such a simple summation of, we got this carbon-based memory system. And, if you look at the perceptual mind, And, something happens in a room and there are 20 people in the room, and the people who've been trained to be card-carrying members of the one world universal religion of blame point at the person in the room that did the terrible thing, which everybody agrees they did this terrible thing, and points at them, and one person says, "You made me mad." Another one says, "You made me sad." Another one says, "You hurt me." Another one says, "You scared me." Another one says, "You make me want to run." And it's like, wait a minute. If that person's action were the cause of what was happening to everybody else would be exactly the same. Why does one person have anger over a situation, or seemingly over a situation, another fear, another sadness, another grief, another rage? Why? Because our own database, our own carbon-based memory contains those things. But because once we enter that world of blame, once I say you made me, then I've said to my evidential mind, my perceptual mind, build me a picture that shows me that they're responsible for what's happening in me. And now I cut myself off from what's happening in me. I have to dissociate from it, hide it from myself. That's where the veil of the temple comes in. We put this barrier down. And now that part of my mind that created that result is now no longer accessible to me. It's the unconscious. It's now part of the desert. And when I look at that, and all that modern science has come up with in psychiatry and psychology and such, nobody's even can hold a candlestick to what Yeshua brought in terms of how to resolve the real life conflicts and problems right where we live. But you go back in. Let's see, who was it in the Old Testament? Not remember what it was, but he talks about people not being able to hear, and he describes, or he says, their minds are waxed gross, which simply means they're so full of denial and dissociation, they can't fathom anything that's being said about responsibility because their minds are so ensconced, the unconscious, the carbon-based memory system. And of course, always available is that mind of love in us, the mind of Christ, that's in each and every one of us, the actuality, if we make room for it. But then carbon-based memory comes in with its hostility and fear, and where is that stored? Where does the work have to be done? It's stored in our physiology. And if you take your body into a laboratory and say, "Here, I want you to take a chunk of this and break it down. Tell me what its elements are." Its base element is carbon. And a carbon atom has 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. What goes against the mind of Christ in each and every one of us? The Antichrist, carbon-based memory with perception. And to just, I literally worked with the first century Aramaic forgiveness process for 35 years before I understood why and how it worked. When I first started to teach it, I was not impressed with it, but I would share it in classes here and there. I was teaching other work. And over a period of time, I had people come back to me saying, "I've been doing that canceling my goal thing. That's really powerful." I was kind of like, "Oh, really? Okay, let me take another look at that." And, that literally for the last 45 years, that's been my life's work, is understanding that. But it never made sense as to why I would cancel a perfectly good goal in those early days. It just worked. You could hand it to anybody and it just worked. And then after about 35 years of teaching it double full time, finally one day it was like, oh, here's what happens. What is the world? The world is false perception. It's a construct in the mind. It's driven by goals. You notice you're never upset with somebody unless they violate it, unless you're a generally miserable person. Nobody's ever upset with somebody as long as everybody in their world is fulfilling all the goals they have for them. They're pretty happy with virtually everybody. But as soon as somebody violates a goal, then that person's stress goes up. If they've been trained in the one world universal origin of blame, look at how it's all their fault. And now they live in a construct out of carbon-based memory that, they literally, who wouldn't believe it? They see the picture of them doing it to them. So of course it's true. And Yeshua called that whole process of perception appearance. He said, don't judge by that or you're in big trouble. So it's amazing that 2,000 years ago he handed the world that technology, and sadly the Greeks turned it backward. That, along with every other major key idea for true healing, the Greeks, I mean, Yeshua, if he sat in most places in this Western world where they ostensibly talk about him, he'd say that's all Greek to me, because it is. So thanks for hanging around long enough and being willing to take that tool and put it to work, because a lot of people just look and go, I'm not going to do that. So delighted you're here.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts for you?
The one thing that comes to mind just to share is that it's interesting that that I am here, because my deepest knowing so far has been that the story of Jesus was actually implanted here. Implanted isn't the right word, but I'm sure you can follow my meaning, that it was a map that we left for ourselves, but it didn't feel like it was ever an actual physical event. It was yet another Heros Gamos story from a different perspective. And what I've heard so far holds the deepest layer of accountability in comparison to all the other Heros Gamos stories, or other people call it like the hero's journey, or I don't know, there's
Right.
so many different words for the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you talk about it as a physical story, and I don't get too attached to it. It's totally doesn't matter to me. I personally just want direction, and I feel in my whole cells that this is the direction I'm meant to go in at this time, and that these are huge tools that I've actually been searching for, but probably wasn't ready for, obviously, or I would have found it, if that
Right.
makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's interesting, if you go to the Greeks interpretation, I won't say translation, but interpretation, demands belief. You got to believe. That's it. You got to become a believer. And in the Aramaic, there's nothing to believe. You don't have to believe a darn thing. Just use the tools. That's all. You don't have to believe anything. But you take the tools, put them to work, your life changes. And anybody can do it. It doesn't take a big brain. It doesn't take intelligence. All it takes is, okay, here's a tool. I'm going to put the pen to the paper and I'm going to use it. And watch the gunk disappear from carbon-based memory and perception clear up, and finally get to the point where the habit of collapsing carbon-based memories, pictures in the mind, becomes so natural that there is perpetually a place for revelation to show up, for information direct from the actuality rather than just the realities coming out of carbon-based memory. It's just, it's so simple, not easy, but so simple that I love how the Course talks about it. It says, it's so simple it cannot fail to be completely understood. Rejected, yes, but not ambiguous. And if you don't do it, it'll be because you think the cost is too great. And all you have to do is cancel one goal at a time, and the game changes. There are other tools that we've developed along with it, and they come out of the Aramaic that assist in the journey, but the core of the whole process is that forgiveness tool. So joining you in escaping from the desert and entering the promised land. It's a great metaphor. And was it a physical reality or not? Oh man, there are people who go to war with each other over that question. It's like, who cares? What's it matter? I'm sure Yeshua would say, so what? Here, use the darn tools. Oh, too hard a saying. Who can hear it? They said. and a large number of the disciples that he gave his inner teachings to. He talks about how, well, I have this outer, in parables I speak to people, but then there's some of you, I'm going to give you the real stuff. And when he gave it to them, they don't say exactly how many disciples were there, but the larger number of them, when he, through an Aramaic parable, told them what they had to do, that they had to have the courage to face and deal with their own internal demons. And in Aramaic, demons got nothing to do with the outer world. It's an internal process. And they literally said, too hard a saying. And then what it records is, and they walked with him no more. They left. So, it's a challenge for the mind that is waxed gross to even start to hear. And anybody who comes into it and goes, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. Yeah, that works. They're not newbies. You've done your work to get to the point where you can hear that and put it to work. Because a lot of people just, say that sounds really, yeah, I love that, yeah, until the first healing crisis, and then you quit. So delighted that you're willing, and delighted to be here to support you. And I'll go with that heart too. Awesome. So anyone else with a thought for us? Welcome. Glad you're here. Sally, Terry, Susan, Carrie. We could make up a song about that, I'll bet, but I'll let that one go. What's everybody got on your mind? Questions, thoughts, answers, ideas. Push that mute button. Say hello. What's on your mind? How can we support you?
Michael, do you know anything about earthing?
A little bit. I have my feet on an earthing sheet right now as we speak.
Oh,
Yes. And basically, what we've done, we're creatures who grew up out of the earth as a reflection of the earth physiologically, as an antenna to bring energies into the earth. And then we went and got these things with rubber soles and insulated ourselves from the earth, which disrupted the energy flow. So the idea of earthing is that you want to make contact just from an energetic level. As you move around, everybody's familiar with static electricity. Static electricity builds up from motion, and if there's nowhere for the electricity to be discharged, then it hangs around us, and who knows what all the long-term effects are of that. Whereas if static starts to build up and you put your feet actually on the earth, then you're literally grounded, just like the ground wire. And you got a 3-wire plug system in your house. That bottom round one is a ground. So you ground yourself, and that static electricity is literally drained off. It gives a place for it to go, so that any interference that's created by it is gone. So, like, for instance, whenever I go out, unless it's like right now, it's pretty chilly, so I've been putting shoes on to work in the garden, but I mean, my toes are always filthy dirty, but that's just part of working in the garden. But I always do it in bare feet, no matter how, what part of it I'm getting into, because that's, we grew up out of the earth and we're part of it, and the modern world, we walk on concrete floors or concrete pads and terrazzo and tile and all kinds of insulators that disconnect us.
I was also curious about bed sheets. Somehow I saw on my feed somehow in my iPhone that they're talking about bed sheets that are earthing sheets. I don't know how that would work.
That's what I've got my feet on right now.
A
So
bed sheet?
you've got a bed sheet that has silver threads in it. And the silver threads all connect to one point where a wire connects to the sheet.
Oh, I see.
And then you take that wire, the other end of it, and you plug it into that third plug. So you're plugged into a ground. So you're in the house, which is totally isolate you from the earth.
Yeah.
But when you go and put your feet or any part of your body on that earthing sheet, then you've got a ground. Even though you're isolated from the earth, you're connected to the earth through that ground, as long as you're in contact with that silver thread.
I didn't know how that works. That's okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah, you get a
exactly
piece of wire. You get a piece of wire and you plug it into that round hole in your plug, and that's a ground. And now you're grounding yourself wherever you have that available.
Mm.
I when I first got this earthing sheet, I didn't notice any real difference. However, for about, actually, as I think about it, this would be relative for you. For about the first 2 weeks that we had it, Jeannie, who had some challenges sleeping every morning for 2 weeks, like she is like clockwork. At 7 o'clock, she's awake. It doesn't matter, how late we were up. Doesn't matter what. She's up at still 7 o'clock. But for the first 2 weeks, 10 days or 2 weeks, she slept an extra 30 minutes every morning when we got up. So, and it's cheap, not be any big cost. And of course, you got the earth. You just go out and step on it and spend some time on it every day. And of course, if you go out and spend time on the earth, then take some clothes off and get some sun on your body, because that the people who manufacture things to quote unquote protect you from the sun are making a fortune, and I think creating horrendous results, because that sun is a necessity on your skin. There's so many things that it does aside from vitamin D. Any other questions or thoughts?
Well, not really. I mean, always there are always questions.
Well, let's go for it then. We're here. Why not?
Well, there are a lot of people on this call.
That's a good thing. And if somebody has a question there, Carrie just put her hand up. So now we've got Carrie and Susan. Hey, Carrie, welcome.
Hi there. I've never relied on grounding sheets, although I do barefoot a lot. And instead of that, what I do is I do an energetic grounding every day. And
what does that look like?
So it looks like I have two parts to it. One is that I bring down the light, the universal light of love. I bring that down into my body and my aura and have it fill my body and aura. And then I have it flow through my central core, activating my 13 chakras and flowing down into the core crystal of the earth and wrapping itself around the core crystal of the earth, so that the light, that universal divine energetic light of love, is coming from above, flowing through my body and connecting with the central core of the earth. Then I have the earth send up a grounding cord, because we do have grounding cords. Some of them are just not very strong. And I have it send up this big tube of fluorescent blue and white light. And this grounding tube is big enough and wide enough for me to sit on, metaphorically. And so I'm grounded that way. And then so the earth sends up this grounding cord to me, and then I send down, using a mudra, a hand gesture, I send down my chakra energy into that grounding cord. So I do that every morning, sometimes at night as well, so that it's like, for me, it's like as above, so below. I'm connected. I'm connected above and connected with earth energy.
Harry, is this a physical thing you're talking about or a meditation you're doing?
Yeah, it's a meditation.
Oh, okay, thanks.
It just takes me like, I don't know, a minute to do.
So maybe you could walk us through that.
Yeah.
Would you be open to that, Gary?
Yeah, if you'd like. There's a couple of mudras that go along with it. If you'd let me show you those too.
Please? Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to put my camera on here.
Hey there.
Um, then I have to put my phone down so that I can do the hand mudras. Because I think they're really a really important part of this process. Of this meditation, if you want to call it that. So I'll walk you through it, but I'll show you the mudras first. So the first mudra is putting your hands up like this. Just that's going to be when we call in the light. The second hand mudra is where you bring your thumb and your forefingers together. And on one hand, you have your fingers pointing up, and on the other hand, oops, you can't see. I'm trying to show you here. Where am I on my phone? Okay, you have your fingers pointing down. Why am I not in the center of my phone? Hang on. Down. So you have your fingers, hang on, pointing down with one hand, and it doesn't matter which
Right.
hand. Can you see that? I don't know.
Yep. Yep. Got it.
Okay. So this is the second part that we do when we do the core, because it's bringing the light from above and it's sending the light down to the earth. And then the third mudra is very simple. It's just putting your thumbs together and your forefingers together in this kind of shape here. And we're going to, at the end, when we connect with the earth, before we bring up the other grounding cord, we're going to use this mudra down by our root chakra. Okay, so you can do this closed eyes or open eyes. I call upon the divine white light of universal love to fill my body and my aura with this beautiful, universal, divine light of love. And I just sit there for a moment. And as I feel it filling my body and my aura, my hands just automatically go out as I feel this light filling up my aura. Take a deep breath here, allowing the breath to assist you with filling this light into your body and your aura. And then go into the first mudra, where you bring your thumb and forefingers together, one of the fingers pointing up and the other with the fingers pointing down towards the earth. And you say, I call upon this divine white light of love, this universal, beautiful light to flow through my core, my central core, activating my 13 chakras and connecting this light to the central core, the crystal core of the earth. And you visualize that light going from above through your central core, activating your chakras down into the crystal core of the earth. And take a deep breath, allowing that breath to assist with bringing this into your bodies. And then move into the third mudra with the two forefingers and the thumbs together in this formation. Sometimes your middle fingers will also come together. And bring this mudra, bring your hands down to your root chakra. And say, I lovingly ground myself into the core crystal of the earth. And I ask that the earth send me up a grounding cord, a beautiful fluorescent blue grounding cord, a tube with blue and light and white light, wide enough, and you visualize it wide enough to sit on. So the earth is sending you up this grounding cord. Take a deep breath in to really lock in those energies into the body. Another deep breath. And that's it. So I actually have a written thing I can send you, Michael. You can send out to people if they're interested.
Awesome. Cool. That'd be awesome. Thank
I
you.
think I maybe sent it to you, Susan. The other thing about this is that once you have this grounding cord established, one of the things that I do in a meditation when I want to take a lot longer is I go through each chakra, bringing up the energies of the earth through my feet and my legs. And I mix those energies of the earth into the lower three chakras one at a time. And I clean out my chakras and breathe down and let the grounding cord take out all that's not serving me, all of those negative energies that I have no use for. And so those go down my grounding cord. And then I bring the light down and do the same thing with the upper chakras in the body. And so those upper chakras, those energies are being transmuted above. So from the solar plexus down, those lower three chakras, that's where we're using the earth to ground us and to cleanse our lower three chakras. And then the upper chakras are where we're doing that cleansing work with the light above. So one of the things about this meditation, I was taught it by a teacher. I've added some of her other things in there, but it generally, she was taught through a place in California. And then I was reading a book on the Pleiadians, and that meditation is in there. And then I met Solara Anra through a webinar, and she's the one that sent me the part of this meditation that she had received from the Pleiadians for grounding and for connecting. And a lot of the Kriya Yoga meditations for me were all about transcending. And I didn't have that grounding aspect in there. And so I feel energetically grounded every day, even when I'm wearing rubber shoes. So that even when I'm flying in an airplane, I do that when I'm flying in an airplane. So I'm still grounded in both of those energies, because as a being walking this earth, we are both the light energy and the Gaia, Mother Earth energy.
And the breath.
Oh, the breath, that it's important because the breath brings it in to the structure, to the body, to the cells, brings that light. So that's why taking those conscious, deep breaths to bring that light into the body is really important. So I think a
Well,
lot of
it's
these things we can do ourselves. Michael, we don't have to buy products, is what I'm saying.
for sure. Yep.
Mhm.
And as you say that, I've been working on Jeannie's introduction to her book, and I came across one of the most ancient Aramaic translations of the creation story. And let me just share this with you. That's because it just fits with this. So according to the oldest Aramaic renderings of the creation story, the Targum Onkelos, human life begins with a specific act of the Creator, not as a distant event, but as an intimate act that continues even now in you. Quote, and here's how the Aramaic translates that passage that the Greeks gave us differently. And the Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a speaking soul. And I've been really breathing on that and being with that, because it's a whole different thing. We're hearing that from one of the most ancient sources, and different from, we were given a soul, but that it was the actual breath of life. That does not point to, and this is a point that I'm making that Jeannie's bringing out in her book, it does not point to an invisible, detached spirit somewhere outside of us, as Greek theologians would like to force on us, but it names an immediate, animating presence of love, of breath in our nostrils, designed to flow through us at every instant of our lives. And of course, unless it's denied. And how do we deny it? By holding the breath, which of course is a habit that most people in pain and upset and trauma do, is they hold their breath. And seeing it from that ancient Aramaic perspective, and this is I just came up with this just a couple of days ago because I was researching things to get to tweak the introduction that I'm doing for Jeannie for her book on healing generations one breath at a time. And it just, for me, introduced a whole new wrinkle, that this breath of the Creator is what animates the dust of the earth. And as you said, we have both components. And that what the Greeks did is they took this breath directly shared from the Creator and turned it into some kind of a spirit, a he, a third person of the Trinity outside of us, that of course then you need somebody's approval to get it. It's now belongs to a hierarchy, and it was stolen out of our nostrils. So this animating presence of love that is our own, you can see how it was intellectually removed and put off somewhere else, so that there could be some sort of intermediary. Now you got to go to the priest. You got to live the correct dogma in order to get it. So this breath is connected in this ancient Aramaic thing. It's the thing that gives us thought and speech and awareness. It's what makes us human, apart from, and it's actually the breath that is where the intelligence lies, where the thought, where the speech, where the awareness comes from. And you look at how much time people spend cut off from their breath, and pain and trauma, and the denial of, the Greeks talked about the denial of the Holy Spirit being the unforgivable sin. But what it really means is when we deny our breath, when we shut our breath down, any energy that we're holding on to that doesn't belong within us, we just locked in. And the only thing that can undo it is that breath. And so holding one's breath is the denial, literally, the Aramaic rendition of that Greek error in understanding is to hold the breath, is to refuse to turn over or give access to what needs to be forgiven in us. So this speaking soul, ruha mammalia in Aramaic, the speaking soul, it's the interface between the Creator's breath and the dust of the earth. And it's not something we were given, it's what we are. So with you 100% in that thought, Carrie, about where we have both the breath component, which is our very life, and the dust of the earth that's animated, the physical component. So I don't know about that, how that rattles for anybody else, but for me it was something I spent a couple hours with, just breathing on it and grokking it. It was, for me, it was an upgrade in understanding from just, Ruka, Shihon does the effects of air as a feminine elemental force, the breath, to literally it's the breath that brings us this intelligence, this ability to speak. And of course, to speak, to think. So I thought that was interesting. Don't know whether anybody else will find it interesting, but it's one of those little refinements.
Yes, thank you, Michael. And I'm thinking about reinitiating my breathwork practice with others, using your tools, your pressure points, and your methodology with the still point, rather than the one that I trained in. And although there's many, many similarities with those. And so I was thinking about how to do a write-up about that, about the breath, and how integral it is, not just to our regular waking physical life where we're walking around breathing or not breathing, but that that's what connects us, right? To
It's literally our shared intelligence with the Creator.
yeah.
And we give it up. You notice people who aren't breathing create a lot of drama and trauma and pain in their lives and do a lot of crazy stuff because they're disconnected from intelligence. Disconnect from original intelligence, and all they have is what they call the intelligence of carbon-based memory, whatever's gone on in their past generations. You look at how things have been going on the earth the last few thousand years, and there's not a whole lot of intelligence there in many circles.
Yeah, and when people are in trauma or anything like that, one of the responses that people do are like, just wait a minute, just sit there and breathe, just breathe, just breathe.
That's it.
It's, that's what they say, just breathe. So we can take that breath and move it into a more therapeutic approach so that it permeates the cells of the body and releases that drama and trauma stored in the cells through the breath.
That's it, exactly. And if the earth component of it, which is the antenna, and that's the energy field work, is in proper alignment or going through its proper range of motion, then not only do we have the link to the Creator's breath, but the ancient teachings tell us in the Creator's field, in Him we live, move, and have our being. Literally, we're hurtling through space. They say at about 7,000 miles an hour, although we seem to be pretty stable, but really the Earth's moving pretty quickly. And what we know is that when two like energy fields pass through each other, especially at a high rate of speed, that it's an interface that creates an interchange of energy. The way, like, you've got your car, and you're going to go on an all-night drive, and you start the car, and gee, if the battery had to run the lights all night, by 3 in the morning, the battery would be dead. But because there's this thing called motion, the engine's turning, and the turning of the engine turns the generator or alternator, whichever it is, that generates electricity from motion. So here we are. If our antenna is aligned, we're moving through this field at about 7,000 miles an hour, exchanging energy directly. This alignment is the meaning of the word prayer. The Greeks turned it into put your order into the cosmic gift catalog. Prayer's got nothing to do with putting your order into the cosmic gift catalog. Prayer means to set, literally would be translated in Aramaic, to set a trap for God. Literally, like your TV antenna on the top of the roof captures channel 2, is a trap for channel 2 and brings a pure, clean signal if it's properly aligned and properly oriented, and you get a great picture and sound. Go up and bend the arms on the antenna, turn the antenna backward, and the picture and sound is going to go all to heck.
So, Michael, one of the thoughts that I had about that antenna thing is what I've started doing during my breath work is I did that grounding and connecting with higher universal energies before I did my breath work, so that I was literally in this energetic connection, and then I would start my breath work. And I mean, I can do that too. One of the things that I've been doing my Reiki on just family and friends. And so I've been doing that grounding and bringing in the energy for them, and having them do some gentle connected breathing to assist with the Reiki. And I think having the breath connected with the Reiki treatments is also very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
As well as,
each would enhance the other immeasurably.
As well as having that energetic connection in the still point breathing. So maybe you want to think about that.
It all ties together for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like that really amplifies that connection, those connections.
Well, I think it's a cumulative effect. When it's not 1 + 1 = 2, but 1 + 1 = 4 when you get energetic dynamics aligning. And especially if my take is that literally the bony structure of the head, the spine, and the pelvis are the core antenna. And that antenna is a self-adjusting antenna. It's designed to go through a range of motion. It's continuously in motion, although it's only a millimeter or two. Most people don't even know it happens, and a lot of medicine denies it. It's that even it's possible that now when the baby's soft spot hardens, the head is fixed. Well, it's not fixed. It's in motion. And when you realize that, this brings in my early physics and electronics work, and you realize that the energetic alignment of an antenna determines what frequencies it receives. The shape of it determines what frequencies it receives. And if we're physically or emotionally traumatized, then the antenna isn't structured the way it's designed to be structured, therefore it cannot capture the energies, trap the energies it's designed to trap. And we're cut off. And the whole idea of the energy field work is to mobilize and bring that antenna back into alignment, into its full range of motion, so that it operates as it was originally designed to. And so, bring each of the tools into alignment, and you get the multiplier effect. For sure. Anyone else have any thoughts in that direction? Any experiences to share around breath, the energy field work, alignment?
Well, I have a thought. Thank you very much. I know it's
Please.
almost end. Only that something I've been noticing with my hip being so sore. I noticed that if I move very gently and breathe, a lot of the pain goes away. So I'm holding something in there, unconsciously holding something in there. And so breathing, I'm doing my own style, Michael. I can't do what you
Perfect.
do, but
That's
I'm
okay.
doing something.
Follow your guidance. And when you can get, here's my offering, when you can get enough things in alignment, physiologically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, then there will be a surge of energy that will go through that tissue and literally throw off what doesn't belong in that tissue. Physiological forgiveness.
Mm,
That's
Wow.
why I suggested get the Avicen for a while and get your hand back in it, because the Avicen is physical forgiveness. The way that it works in the structure and increasing, especially blood flow.
mm.
But you get enough power through aligning everything that you can align, and
Mhm.
that's what's going to throw off the overlay that's creating the pain.
And this has nothing to do with the fact of no cartilage left between the ball and the socket.
Well, the creator that built the cartilage between the ball and the socket from the beginning still
Mhm.
knows how to build it. The only reason it hasn't regenerated as it's designed to, remember, every cell in the body regenerates itself. Depending whose numbers you take, somewhere between a year and 7 years, every cell replaces
Yeah,
itself.
that's true.
So what's the interfering energy that keeps the creator within you from rebuilding that according to its original perfect image? Remember, we were given the ability to originate things, and if we originate things out of harmony with truth, the place they're stored is in physiology, and wherever they're stored in physiology that's out of alignment with truth, it creates an interference in proper regeneration. Remove the interference and boom, the tissue regenerates.
That's a happy thought.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll join you in that happy thought.
Susan, there's been a lot written on that by Joe Dispenza, I think other people
Mhm.
who have healed themselves in different ways. And
Yeah.
so I'm working on that. And I even went and did a quantum hypnosis healing session, because actually in that session, a lot of people are healed of a lot of things
Mm.
because they're releasing those energies that no longer belong there. And I'm just amazed at how the body is able to heal itself. Yet, on the other hand, I will also engage in magic while I'm working on those things. So,
How do you mean magic?
magic in the Course in Miracles, they call it, like traditional medicine, So, yeah, I've had a couple surgeries, and because I'm not there yet where I can regenerate and heal things yet through my mind and through my healing. And I take a lot of homeopathic remedies. If I have a healing crisis, I'll go and take some homeopathic remedies. And
Mhm.
mainly the energy, my doctor is an energy worker. But
All of the
the
above.
real healing comes from healing those disintegrative energies. And I'm like, I am drilling down. And the more and more that I drill down, Michael, the more I see. And I had a big aha this week about how can I love someone, or how can my being of love move towards someone completely, even if they don't do the behaviors that I want them to do. And it's all in the work that you do. It's all in the tools.
Yeah. And my offering would be, there's no need to do what you just said.
Just for
It doesn't,
myself.
you don't need to move it there. The whole game is like the only one that you need to move it toward, according to the what Yeshua taught or what the scriptures talk about. The only persons that you need to move it toward, it's required by law, that is mother and father. Otherwise, all
Yeah.
that's required, the game is maintain your human life. Can you do that?
Well, I also think that the mother and the father are in all of us. I think I truly have embraced the oneness of all. So if I talk about others, I'm always talking about myself. If I'm talking about mother and father, I'm still always talking about myself. And um, yeah, I, I see what you're saying.
What is it in me that rips me off for the presence of my human life love because somebody out there does something that I don't like?
Exactly.
Right? It can't be what they're doing or not doing. It's something
Right.
in me. That's what needs to be forgiven. And that to me is the beauty. Like you don't have to ever figure that out. The worksheet will take you to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so last night I had this upset about how the information I was getting or not getting about my trip to India that everybody else seemed to have. And I was feeling left out and I was feeling upset. And in my mind, did the worksheet. I let go of my goal. I I was in a restaurant with people, so I couldn't pull out a worksheet. So I did
Right?
it in my head,
Yeah.
and I gave it up. I let it go. I said, "Please help me. This is not mine to figure out." And I just know, using affirmative prayer, I just know that all was in divine order. And that that very thing has helped me so many times. Like when I was getting lost in the woods, walking off trail, and I just stopped because I couldn't get through. It was a thicket, and I just stopped for a moment. I was walking straight up a hill, and I just said, "Please help me. Please show me the way. Show me the way. I give up trying to figure it out." And this little beam of light came on the leaves, and I walked over and followed the beam of light, and I was shown the way.
Awesome.
Yeah, just let it go. Let it go. That's how you do it
Well,
because it's so
that's it.
hard to just let it go until you know the tool and you know how to do it. You have to cancel the
Right.
goal.
Yep. That's it. It's so simple. Cannot fail but to be completely understood. And then we can be like Elsa in Frozen. Let it go. Let it go.
And
Don't
we don't
hold
know
on
how to let
anymore.
it go until we start using the charts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Cool. All right. One other thought, Andrea, I know she made a comment about the grounding sheets, and I'd invite you to maybe consider that what you were experiencing was a vitalization, having allowed yourself to ground yourself, a vitalization that maybe was inviting you to let go of something with something time to move. So you might just take a look at that and see what that does. In the meantime, everybody, thanks for joining us. Create the best year yet of your eternal life. It is an awesome